Vidyam Kurumedeva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. Thank you everybody for giving me this kind of an opportunity that I will be standing in front of you and talking about few of my experience. Why I want to talk about my experiences, I was very good in vomiting. I think most of you are confused. I was very good in vomiting. What I mean by vomiting is when I get into an examination hall, whatever is the question paper given on to me, I would vomit the answers in such clarity without even leaving one point. I always used to score more than 95. I used to feel proud about this, and later on I realized that memorizing something without understanding and getting into an examination hall and then vomiting will definitely not make you success. But not memorizing and not able to go into the examination hall and not able to recollect everything and not able to write also will never make you successful. So in your life, in various stages, you will be facing what is called as examination. So when it comes to examination, you will have to remember and you will have to write. If you can understand and remember, that would be the beauty of intelligence. If you cannot understand and if you simply write, just by memorizing and verbatim, you are going to by heart it and then put it onto the paper, that will not work in the real time. That means when you're working in an IT company, or when you're working as an accountant, when you're working as a chartered accountant, or you're working as an engineer, you're working as a doctor, in all these places, you need to remember. I don't say no. But actually by hearting and remembering will never help you. It has to be understood and then remembered. Then if some changes is required, you will be able to make the changes. Otherwise what happens, you will never be able to make the changes. You will take as it is in the book and then put it onto the paper, which is not right. So today we are going to talk about the main topic that is given to me is how to face an exam. When I need to explain you how to face an exam, let us understand to face an exam confidently, what are the pre-preparations I will have to make. And first, let us also understand what is exam. See, all of us are studying. If every day only classes are being done, you will feel it is a relaxed life, college life in beautiful Maga, you feel like. But the moment they announce next week test ಇದೆ, immediately the college becomes allergic to you. ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ ನನ್ನ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. If there was no test, everybody simply came, they simply started learning things and they were allowed to go home. Nobody checked how much of the learning has happened from your perspective. And at the end of 3 years, if the certificate would have been issued, people would have loved and they would have considered college as a picnic. But right now you don't consider college as a picnic only because of the reason there is something called as a test. As long as the college is running every day with sports, every day with some kind of a cultural activities, then you will love college and say, Maga, what a college life, Maga. And the moment they say next week all the subjects one by one from Monday to Saturday you will have test, ಇವತ್ತಿಂದ ಊಟ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ, ನಿದ್ದೆ ತಲೆಗೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿ ತರ ಕಾಣೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ತರ ಕಾಣೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ರಾಕ್ಷಸರ ತರ ಕಾಣ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸತಿ you would have even asked a question, why should I live this life? Suicide also would have come once or twice. ಮಗ ಸುಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಆರಾಮ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ. It would have got into your head because somebody told you next week is going to be your exams. So let me try and understand how do I actually help all of you to face this exam just like it is a picnic. It is an experience, you will have to experience it, and sometimes you will have to experience what is called as fear also. If a person does not experience fear, he becomes not an angel, he becomes what is called as a devil. ಯಾವಾಗ ನೀವು ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಯಾವಾಗ ನೀವು ತಪ್ಪು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಭಯ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇಲ್ದಲೇ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ನೀವು ಏನು ಬೇಕೋ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಲೆಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ರಾಂಗ್ಸ್. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೋರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಹಿರಣ್ಯಕಶಿಪು ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಅಪ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್. ಚಾಮುಂಡಿ ಬೆಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆ ಕಂಸಾಸುರ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಅವರು ವೆನ್ ಈ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂತ್, ಅವಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೇನು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತು, ನಾನು ಏನು ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಭಯ ಇಲ್ದಲೇ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಅಂದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಯಾರನ್ನ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಭಯ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವನು ರಾಕ್ಷಸನಾಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಅವನು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ದೇವ್ರಿಗೆ ವರ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಭಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಅವನು ಜಪ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಗುಣಗಳು, ದ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಬ್ಲೆಸ್ಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಅಬಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂತ್, ಯು ಬಿಕಮ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ as ರಾಕ್ಷಸ, ಯು ಬಿಕಮ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ as devil. Why? Because you think you can do anything under the sky and there is nobody to stop. So this is going to be dangerous to every one of us. So there has to be an exam. And why exam has to be there, let me also explain you. Assuming all of you are in the operation theatre and a nurse is talking to the doctor. Doctor, how do you think you can do this operation? I think your score 90%, na? He says. ಅವಾಗ ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರು ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿ ನಾನು 90% ಅಂತ, ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಬರೀಲಿಕ್ಕೇನೆ ಹೋಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಅಮೀರ್ ಖಾನ್ ಮೂವಿಲಿ ಯಾರ್ದೋ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಬರೆಯೋ ಥರ ನನ್ನ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಮುನ್ನಾಬಾಯಿ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥವ್ರನ್ನ ಕಳಿಸಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಸಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಬರೆಸಿ ನಾನಿಲ್ಲಿ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಥಿಯೇಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿರೋದು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಥಿಯೇಟರ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೇಳಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರ್ ಒಂಚೂರು ಆ ಕಡೆ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನರ್ಸಮ್ಮ, ಏನು ಸರ್ ನರ್ಸಮ್ಮ, ಅವ್ರು ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಬರೆದು ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ವಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನೆಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅನಾಸಿನ್ ಮಾತ್ರೆ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಬಟ್ ಅವ್ರ ತಂದೆ ಈ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟ್ಲ್ ಓನರ್ ಸರ್. ಗೋವಿಂದ ಗೋವಿಂದ. Now what will you do? You will run away from that place, or you will say, what kind of an education system do we have? Why? They allowed him to copy and then pass. They allowed somebody else to write the exam and pass. How nice it will be. We will go to the next stage. It is a little sarcastic example, but such examples ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೈಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಶಾಶ್ವತವಾಗಿ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ವೆರಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನೆವರ್ ಸ್ಟೇ ಇನ್ ಯೋರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್. You have studied your graduation and you have got a job of 3.5 lakhs per month. So that in a year it is going to nearly reach closing to 50 lakhs ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ you get married to an IT company guy who is earning 15 lakhs per month, and both of you want to go for an honeymoon. You book the best flight to United States of America for a complete United States of America trip, and you get into this plane. All of a sudden, because you wanted to use the restroom, when you go to that restroom, just outside the restroom is the place where the pilots are going to sit. Both the pilots are talking to each other. ಏಮ್ಮ ಮಗ ನನಗೆ ಟೇಕ್ ಆಫೇ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತು ಪೈಲಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಕಾಸು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡೆ ಅಂದಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಯುವರ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್? Either you will run away from that plane, or you will not dare enough to sit in that plane because you know that a person who has never completed the pilot training at all, who has never been given an examination and tested that whether he can actually take off a plane, anta ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲೇನಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಂತಾಗ ನೀವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳೋದೇನು, ಏನು ನಮ್ಮ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಟು ಅವರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ದೇ ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಟಾಮ್ ಡಿಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾರಿ and make them a pilot? This is not right. So in the same manner, now there is a question which you will have to ask yourself. Now, if I need to be skilled, and if the outside world should know that I am skilled, there has to be a place, what we call it as an exam, and it has to happen. They will have to evaluate me. After evaluating me, they will have to give me a grade, and based on grade, I should be given the jobs. It is naturally true. If that is not going to happen, everywhere blunders are going to happen. Now, understanding all this, if facing an exam has to be thrilling and it has to be a picnic, then this has to happen very perfectly. That means your study has to happen too perfectly, and right kind of memory techniques you will have to use. All of you, when you go to an exam, ask yourself this beautiful question. When the question paper is given to you, you will never find there is any such question out of the syllabus. Because you know by mistake if a question comes out of the syllabus, you need not take care. Why? Public TV Rangnat will take care. He will come at 9 o'clock and say, ನಮ್ಮ ಹುಡುಗರಿಗೆ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಇಂದ ಆಚೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅನಾಹುತ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿದೆ. You did not worry. Then the education minister will say, Rangnath sir, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು 5 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. That means, if you know that there is a question which comes out of the syllabus, all of you know there is public TV to take care. But whenever you look at the paper, as you get into an examination or you open the question paper, as soon as the teacher gives you the question paper, what does your mind say? Hey, this is first chapter. This is second chapter. Hey, this is last chapter. This is fourth chapter. This is the chapter while I was doing the teacher scolded my friend. I felt so happy. Everything you can remember. Now you pick up a pen and you are about to start writing the exam and you are trying to remember, it's not coming. Never you thought it is out of the exam. The moment you saw the question paper, everything I know. Everything I know. And when you start writing, it is not that you don't know, you know. But if you can take up the entire answer and put it into the paper, you get the entire marks. But where is the problem? You cannot take the entire content. A entire content alli madhyadalli, who will come? That song will come. Ooh antava, ooh antava. Because while you were actually studying the subject, you were not focusing there. In the TV, it was coming, ooh antava, ooh antava. You were studying the subject would be something like this. The President of United States of America tells about the speech on the Takshna, your mind is listening, ooh antava, ooh antava. Now one more song has come up from that Vikram Rona. What is that? So, you will remember that ra 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 ra, but answer is not ra ra. That heroine is ra ra, that hero is ra ra, but in the exam, that answer is not ra ra, because while you were studying, this ra ra and ooh antava interrupted you. So, something went wrong in the way you studied and something is seriously going wrong in your memory techniques. That means, you also know, I know the subject. When you want to pick it up from your mind and put it into the book, what you call it as an answer paper, you cannot take the entire content and put. Few of you will put 10% of the content for few questions, and few of you will put 100% for few questions. Few of you will put for everything 90%, you get 90%. Few of you for few questions 100%, for few questions it will never come. You are saying ra 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 ra, that song is coming, but this answer is not coming. So ultimately what is happening? Few of you end up getting 90, few of you end up getting 80, few of you end up getting 50, few of you end up getting 40. What was the mistake? Teacher was the same. Ambience was the same. Even the hair what you inhaled also was the same. The chairs and tables were the same. And the time was also the same. And what you listened was also the same. But ultimately you were not able to recollect because somewhere you seriously went wrong in your studies. So today we will try to work on that, and we will also tell you how could you face this exam with full of confidence. That is the ultimate goal of today's session. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let me go for a simple understanding. When we talk about an exam, the first thing comes into my mind is, if I have studied well, I will definitely not have the question, how will I face the exam? Whenever I know I have not studied well, that is when a big question will arise, how will I face this exam? So, in order to handle the exam, I need to handle your study stress. So, whenever we say that you have a regular classes, you will always be very, very happy. The moment I say there is an exam, there is a viva, there is a presentation, there is a seminar which you will have to give tomorrow, immediately you will get into what is called as stress. It is not a study stress, it is ultimately exam stress only. Because that exam stress, you will have to do an activity of study, so the exam stress will be transferred to your study, and that study stress will continue all through your college days, and you will have to somehow cope up with that. There is no way you can push him away and continue, because it will be there and it shall be there. and it will not stop. Again, I'm telling you, learning a new skills, if you start thinking it is a pain, it will not help, because learning will never stop. Everybody says learning should not stop until your last breath. So always try to start falling in love with him rather than hating him. Most of you, the moment you will have to get into studies, look at your attitude. ನೀವೇನಾದರೂ ಓದಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಹೋಗಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಗೋ ವಿತ್ ಅನ್ ಆಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಅಸ್ ಅಲರ್ಜಿಕ್. I also want to study. If you go with that kind of an attitude, you cannot start liking him. If you don't start liking him, you cannot study him properly. When you can't study him properly, it will also not reflect in the exam. So change your perspective, change your attitude towards studies, and start telling study has to be in my blood, and study is going to be with my breath, and it will only stop after my last breath. Great is this Abdul Kalam sir, what he told. After his 70 plus and 80 plus, when he was in this 70 plus range, all of them knew that Abdul Kalam was very successful, and he had seen all verticals of life, and he had seen the highest, what we call it as an highest responsibility, that is being a president of India. So one of the reporter went up to Abdul sir and he told, Abdul Kalam ji, he told, yes, Abdul Kalam sir, I think you have reached all the heights that your mind was asking for, your dream was asking for. But still, is there any last rites? Is there any last wish that you want to accomplish? Handaga, that elderly man told, yes, I have one. Then he told, what is it? I want to consistently keep learning, and I want to consistently keep teaching. I am always asking for God, give me a death. Give me a death which has to be at that moment when I am sharing my knowledge to my students. And it so happened one day when he was on a dais, he was addressing in a university, a big, not a very big, a small gathering of students. As he was explaining something, telling and telling and telling, he just collapses. That should be the life what you will have to lead. Most of you, what you will say, ಯಾವ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಮುಗ್ದೋಗುತ್ತೋ ಮಗ, ಬುಕ್ಸ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸುಟ್ಟಾಕಿ ಕ್ವಿಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಥರ ನಾನು ಕ್ವಿಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನೋ, ಯೋರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಯೋರ್ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್. In a workplace, as long as you get a government job, there, even if a dog gets a job, he will get promotion based on his age. But in an IT/BT company, when you get into a job, you will not get promotion based on the age. You will only get a promotion based on the skill sets that you learn. If you stop learning your skill sets, that means they will not hesitate to tell you, I think we will give you a pink slip. From tomorrow, you did not come to the office. Very simple. Pink slip means asking you to resign voluntarily, or they will actually throw you out. They will never think twice. Remember, if you are aiming at bigger salary like 10 lakhs per month, 4 lakhs per month, 3 lakhs per month, that particular vertical expects you to keep this learning activity till your job ends. It has to be a continuous process tense. ಅದು past tense, college ಮಗ ಓದಿದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಯಿತು, it will become a past tense. No, you will have much more to study. So don't be allergic to this person called as studies. The more you are allergic to him, your life is going to be painful. The more you start liking him, and the more you start liking him at one point of time, when you start loving him, then life will be a picnic. Studies should be enjoyed like it is a love affair that you are having with books. It is a love affair that you are having with knowledge, and it should be pure form of love. You will have to sit like you are sitting for meditation, and then you will have to study. And when you do like that, you will start seeing enough results. Now, to telling all this, where do I come into picture? Yes, we are sure that you will agree that learning something in general and studying for a seminar, viva, presentation and exam are two very different things. If I ask you to just come to the class and keep learning, all of you are happy. The moment I tell there is an exam, there is a viva, there is a presentation, there is a seminar, it might make you feel so tense, and you will start getting allergic to studies. So that is what we are going to help you. Don't worry, we are here to help you. I am here to give you certain points, certain inputs, certain do's. When you start following it, your life will take a cakewalk into studies. Now, how am I going to help you? I will definitely tell you some of the key things what leads to study stress. I'll be working on that, and we will understand the process also, and we will try to handle it in a very neat manner. Rather than worrying about it, I'll start giving you solutions so that you will start looking at the solution and your journey will be beautiful. Next, stressing out for any particular reason will never help you to achieve that. Instead, if you can calm yourself down, it will definitely help you to achieve. So when you know with stress and studies both put together, result will be zero, it is better I avoid stress. How do I avoid stress? There are few basic concepts that you will have to follow, which you should have started at the beginning of the academic year. If the principal would have called me at the beginning of an academic year, I think I would have put you into the right track.
You suggest us every year we to feel it, sir.
Yeah, so when you are starting the academic year, if the same input would be given, I will be able to put you into a right track so that you know that the exam is somewhere there, and then how do I face it very confidently. Right now what has happened, the exam is very close. If I start making too much of changes in your routine, it may disturb your entire, what we call it as a flow, and few of you, it might hit you back in a negative manner. So please be careful in adopting whatever I say. I will tell you where you will have to take caution. Now, we will come back to this. I will also teach you how to relax, how to keep yourself in a very relaxed state so that your subconscious starts learning, because studies when you do for a conscious mind, it's not going to help. Why? When you are writing the exam, information will not come from the conscious mind. Information has to come from the subconscious mind. If you are stressed, your conscious mind will block the subconscious mind and no information will enter the subconscious state. That's the reason when you are actually trying to learn a four-wheeler or a two-wheeler, because we cannot do multitasking, what happens when you are on a cycle? How did you learn? When your father told hold the handle, you are only focusing on the handle and looking at the handle. And he says, hey, do the pedaling, then you will forget the handle, you will start looking at the pedaling. And he says, look in the front here. If you are going to hit somebody, then you will try to look there. Steering will be not under your control, and even pedaling will not be under your control, because conscious mind cannot do multitasking. Then you will start feeling so uncomfortable and you will say, Papa, I think I will never be able to ride cycle. What is this? Papa, if I am looking in the front, I cannot focus on the pedal. If I am looking at the pedal, I can't look in the front. If I am looking there, I cannot look left and right. It is becoming too difficult, Papa. I think I'll give up cycling. You went to that extent also. Sometimes not able to manage multiple things, you fell down also. Because you are looking at the pedal, suddenly somebody comes. You had to apply the brake, you put the brake and you fall. Why this happened? Because your conscious mind is not capable of doing multitasking. But today when I put you onto a cycle, everything is happening because of subconscious state. And you're thinking of something else, and all of a sudden, whether it is a bike or a two-wheeler, you go on stop, cycle or a bike, you go on stop, and then you will ask, why did I stop? And you look in the left, it is your home. Why? All that training has gone to the subconscious state, and subconscious state will never do any wrongs. It will pick up the right information and it will start executing. So in the exam, you will have to prepare your subconscious mind to pick up those answers and put it into the answer papers. Only then you will be able to score out of out. And there, if you have stored in the right place, you can recollect everything. But if you have stored ephesoidally, what happens? You cannot. You go to a medical store and you ask him, sir, once you coffee could come and he will go and he will drink coffee and come. In that 5-10 minutes, you and your 10 friends interchange all the tablets. You come, sir, on crocin kodi. 10 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ. ಎಸ್ ಸರ್. ಕೊಡಿ ಕೊಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಫ್ರೀಯಾಗಿ ಕೊಡಿ. ದಟ್ ಗೈ ಕ್ರೋಸಿನ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ಈ ಗೋಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರೋಸಿನ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್. ವೈ? ಯು ಇಂಟರ್ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್. He has kept where it has to be and he knows where it is. But when he is doing that, in between, if your studies has been distracted by somebody else, it could be the movie, it could be your friends, it could be the social media, it could be a gossiping, something would have distracted and information has not gone into the right place. When you go there to pick up something, you will find that is empty. Why? Because you did not stack it properly in your subconscious state. So what is happening? Whatever little information comes, you write only that and your marks starts coming down. We will start working on that. I will be speaking on conscious state and subconscious state. Before we could get into what exactly is causing this steady stress, let me explain it in a more nice manner so that you will understand. All of you are in +2, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, go back to your 10th standard where you saw the results. When you saw the results of your 10th standard, as a man or as a student, when I am watching at that result, even I had the same experience. I looked at the result and I told, this is not my score. If I would have really put all the efforts, I should have seen myself there. All of you feel this? You always feel that this is not my score. If I would have really seriously studied, I would have seen myself there, and immediately your mind says, next year it is not going to be like this. Next year I am going to study like I have never studied till now in my life, and definitely I will reach at 90. Some target you fix up, 90. But there is another category of a student also. It ನನ್ನ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ರಮೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಕೋರು. ಯಾಕೆ? ನಾನು ರಮೇಶಂದೇ ಕಾಪಿ ಹೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ, ದಟ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ ಹೂ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಟು ಯು, ಶೀಸ್ ಒಂದಿನ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶುಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಕಾಪಿಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್, ಕ್ಯಾಶುಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಯು, why did you say yes to me when they asked, would you like to marry me? I told yes to you because of your SSLC and second PUC marks. Okay? Then you're thinking, and somewhere in the deep in your thought process, SSLCಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿ ಇವ್ರು ಎಸ್ ಅಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರು ನನಗೆ ಎಸ್ ಅಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ರಮೇಶನ್ಗೆ ಎಸ್ ಅಂದಿರೋದು, ಇವ್ರು ನನ್ನ ಮಿಸ್ಸಸ್ ರಮೇಶ್ ಮಿಸ್ಸಸ್. ಒನ್ ಡೌಟು. ನಾವು ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUC. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUC ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸು ನೋಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇವ್ರು ಇಂಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಆದರು ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUC ಅದು ಅವಿನಾಶ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್. ನನ್ನ ಆಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ನ ಆಕೆ ಒಂಚೂರು ಕಾರ್ತಿಕನ್ನ ಒಂಚೂರು ಅವಿನಾಶ್ನ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ನಾವು ಬಿಲೀವ್ ಮೀ, ನೀವು ಯಾವತ್ತನ ಸೀದೆ ಉಂಗ್ಲಿ ಸೆ ಗೀ ನೈ ನಿಕ್ಲೇಗ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವು ಉಂಗ್ಲಿನ ತೇಡ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಂದು ಕೆನೆ ಪಠಾರ್ ಪಠಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೊಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ತಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ರೀ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ಹೇಳ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಇಂಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಆದೆ ಅಂತ. ಅಮ್ಮನ ತಾಯಿ ಇನ್ನೆಂದು ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಡ. ಯಾಕ್ರಿ ನಿಮ್ದಲ್ವಾ ಅದು ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸು. ಶಿ ವಾಂಟ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು, ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ದಟ್. So everything that you acquire, it has to be yours. Copying will not work. When I saw the result, so fast it has gone. When I saw the result, something deep inside told, this is not my mark. I can do far better than this. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, our body and mind is a collection of 3 elements. One is the positive mind, which we call Arjuna. The second one is the negative mind. We will call him as Duryodhana to understand it better. And the third one is God himself, Krishna. The moment I see the result, Arjuna is talking to me and he is saying, Malik, this is not your marks. ನೀನು ಏನಾದರೂ ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ಓದಿದ್ರೆ I think you would have reached at least 95%. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ನೀನು ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀಸನ್ಗೂ ಏನೋ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ನೀನು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು 95 ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು 95ನೇ ಅಚೀವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ ತಥಾಸ್ತು. And immediately Arjuna will start planning. I will actually start my next academic year so beautifully that there is no chance for me to come down in my marks. So what I will do, first day of the college, when I go to the college, I will go with lot of preparation, taking all the textbooks and all the notebooks, whatever is required, and first class, whatever the teacher will do, between the first and the second class, I'll finish off the revision. I will not waste time. Last year I did not do this year I will do it. Then after the second period, between second to third period, I'll finish up the second period revision, and when it comes to lunch break, first, second, third, fourth, all this I will do a revision, because afternoon I don't need 1 hour for lunch. 15 minutes is more than enough. 45 minutes I'm going to spend on my studies. Everything told? And then I also say, after the lunch, whatever the number of classes I have, there also religiously whatever the teacher says, I will make a notes like I have never written the notes in my life. And as soon as the college is over, not going here and there, oh guys there, not going here and there, I will not be distracting myself. I'll straight from the college go to the home, and I will sit on the study desk and I'll start writing the exam. And when I start preparing for the classes that has happened today. And next day, I'm not going to get up at 6 o'clock. I'll definitely get up at 4 o'clock and I'll revise the entire yesterday's portion that I have already prepared the notes. So, where is the problem? That I will not be able to hit 95. I'll definitely hit 95. Everything is planned, and also you do a planning Saturdays and Sundays also without wasting any of the time. I will study from morning till evening very smartly, very systematically, so there is no way I will be coming with my marks down. You have already fixed. But after fixing, do you start? That is where the problem is, that you will not be able to start, because all of us suffer what is called as starting trouble. So first day of college happens. The first period, the college lecturer comes, he explains his subject and he says, today being the first class, I don't want to take for complete 1 hour. I will only take for half an hour. I will give you free for next half an hour. Do whatever you want. What was your plan? I will pick up the notes and I'll start preparing. You pick the notes, when you are about to write, something deep inside says, first day, first class. Instead of writing now, you write it in the next class. Na? So what you are doing, you are trying to postpone it, procrastination. That means you are not saying don't do it, do it. Instead of first period, do it in the second period. Na? And then the second period will come. Till then you will start gossiping, you will start wasting your time, and when the second period comes, at least there you start. Immediately you say, I will definitely do it next period. This period you please forgive me. And then you push it to the next period. And when you have pushed it next period, it has not worked, what you will say, afternoon lunch break, na, definitely I will study all the 4 classes, and the lunch break happens. In the lunch break, you finish off your lunch in 10 minutes, all your friends are gossiping, you don't want to gossip, you come and you are about to start, one of your friends will say, hey, come here, let us talk. And then you will say, I will do like this. Ivatteno workout ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ definitely I will do. Or what you say, in the evening I will go home and I will definitely do. But when you come back to the evening, when you go back home, you were supposed to go on to the study desk and you were supposed to start writing. Immediately what you will say, instead of doing it today, I will do it tomorrow. That means you postponed it into tomorrow. So what exactly is happening here? You are getting into what is called as procrastination. Procrastination andre eno? Postponing things. ನೀವೇನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ದೀರಾ, when that opportunity of doing comes, what you will say, instead of doing now, I will do it tomorrow. So what happened? You postponed it to tomorrow. But will you start tomorrow? Tomorrow you will again say, I'll definitely do it tomorrow. So when this tomorrow will not work, what you will say, I will do like this. Next Monday, na, 100% sure I will do, and you postpone it to tomorrow, and you will go to next Monday. And when that Monday comes, you will say, definitely next Monday I will do, and you have pushed it to next Monday. 2 times when you have told next Monday in the serious that I will be studying, from next Monday I am going to study very, very seriously. After postponing it for 2 Mondays, then you will say, Monday somehow is not working. Next month first, perfectly, 100% I am going to study, and you push it to next month first. When the next month first comes, instead of starting to study, what you will say, this month somehow it is not working. Next month first, now perfectly I will study. By that time, your first test will happen. But when the first test happens, You wanted 95%, you had actually got 75%. Your mind is saying, what I got in 10th standard was 75%. What I had promised on the result day was I will target at 95. But when I see my first test result, I am still at 75 because I did not utilize all those free times. It is not that every day you did not study, but that additional study hours and additional commitment you are not ready to give. And the first test marks says you have only scored 75. Slowly what you will start realizing, oh, what has happened? ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ 75 ಬಂದಿದ್ಯಾ? No. Next month I'll again seriously start studying. You will push it to next month, and then you will say, we will do like this. Once Yugadi comes now, I'll perfectly start studying. You will wait for one Deepavali to come, which came last time. Deepavali, I will perfectly start studying. Then midterm exam will come. And when the midterm exam comes, your score is still 72, 75. You are aiming at 85, 90. And slowly what happens? Starting trouble and procrastination will lead to what is called as living with the problem. Andre, prati sati when you are supposed to start, you postpone and say, I'll start from tomorrow. When that place comes, when you are supposed to start at that particular time, you again postpone. So what is happening? You are living in this problem only. You are consistently doing what is called as procrastination. Postponing. When you consistently keep on postponing, that is what we call it as living with the problem. But it will not stop there. The living with the problem will lead to what is called as stress. See, on the first day, whatever was done, if you would have studied on the first day only, you would add very little to study. Once that has been studied and it has been removed from your head, I have already studied, you would be relaxed. When you came to the second day, you studied the second day portion also, you would be relaxed. When you come to the third day, you would have studied the third day portion also, you would be relaxed. But what did you do? You started procrastinating. On the third day, because you did not study, you will have to study first days, second days, third days. After a week, you will have to study 1 week's portion. After 1 month, you will have to study 1 month's portion. So when you need to study 1 month portion, you will definitely be stressed because you are not having little to study, you have a lot to study. When you have so much to study and when that study stress gets onto your head, you cannot handle it. Just because the study stress is so much, what happens? You will start compromising, and what you will say? You will start giving up. What is the giving up attitude? I think 95 it won't be possible. 85 I can reach. So what is happening? Starting trouble will lead to procrastination. Procrastination will lead to living with the problem. Living with the problem will lead to stress, and stress will lead to giving up. And slowly, when the midterm exam nimage bandirodu 70, ನೀವು expect ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು 95, you know it is not going to be possible. If you start thinking like that, it is relating to stress. Why? What exactly is the stress? Stress is nothing but the gap between when it should have been done and ultimately when you did it. ಅವತ್ತಿನ ಪಾಠ ಅವತ್ತನೇ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ, you were supposed to study today, you study today, there is no stress. Instead of today, if you push it to tomorrow, till tomorrow the stress will continue. Instead of tomorrow, if you push it to next Monday, the stress will continue till the next Monday until the job is not completed. That is actually stress. In everything what you do, what is stress? Stress is the gap between when it should be done and ultimately when it was done. Simple example, I give you an assignment now. What was the assignment? It was an assignment of first 3 lessons. The intention of the teacher to give the assignment was so that you understand the subject properly and then go home and prepare the notes and prepare the assignment so that it will help you in the exam. Objective was right from the teacher's perspective, but will you go today and do the assignment? No. What will you say? I will do it tomorrow. But when you come tomorrow to the class, the moment you see me, because I was the person who gave the assignment, the moment you see me, ee lecturer to assignment e madilla, stress is there. And at least do it tomorrow. No, you push it to tomorrow, and when Saturday was the date of submission, what you do? You kept on pushing. Saturday is a submission date. Friday night you will definitely do the assignment, but when you do the assignment on Friday night, objective has changed, the goal has changed. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if you would have done, your goal was understanding the subject, which will help you in the exam. But on Friday when you do, it is not understanding, it is only I don't want my lecturer to scold in front of my friends, so I complete the assignment. The objective has gone for a toss. So what is happening? You are not going in the right path. This should not happen, and that stress should not happen, and this giving up attitude should not happen. So you will have to start handling this. If you really want to be on the mark in order to face the exam confidently, the basic rule that you will have to follow is you should never get into starting trouble, you should never get into procrastination, never get into living with the problem, never get into stress, never get into giving up. Now I will ask you, all of you will have to repeat. If I don't want to have steady stress, which will lead to exam stress, I should avoid starting trouble. I should avoid procrastination. I should avoid living with this problem. I should avoid stress. Because I know stress is the gap between when it should be done, ultimately when was it done. I should also give up giving up attitude. This is very, very important from all of your perspective. If you can handle this properly, life will be very, very beautiful. So this is one thing which I wanted to say. Now, I have already spoken about this procrastination attitude, living with the problem attitude, and I have spoken about what is stress. My entire stress in life is gap between when it could be done and when eventually it was done. Like that, it is not only in studies. You show this attitude of starting trouble, procrastination, living in the problem in all the activities that you do. Let me take up a very funny example, a humorous example. At the same time, let me also take up some serious examples. First, let me start with a very serious example. I still remember it was one of my aunt. My aunt was a lecturer in a college. She was one of the best lecturers in the college. That reflection you can see in me. Most of them say, you actually speak like my aunt. I am very proud about my aunt. But my aunt, being a lecturer, she also got into the starting trouble, procrastination, living with the problem, stress, and ultimately giving up. Let me explain you what happened. My aunt was a lecturer, and she had her the daughter, the only daughter, who was married off to one of the very good engineer. Both of them very, very, very successful. After the daughter was married off, it was nearly 15 months after the marriage, my aunt was expecting either a grandson or a granddaughter. It so happened, my cousin gave birth to a daughter, and she was on the top of the, we say, her happiness was on the top of the cloud, and she could not think of anything else other than celebrating that moment. During that time, she developed a small pimple in her breast. Especially for ladies and especially for your parents, because parents are so much blind about your career, your health and your future, they will start giving up on their health and their future, on their career. Right now you may make fun of yourself by actually getting into a gossiping and talking to each other, but your mother will be working at home thinking, my son has gone to the college, he will do something good and he will come, and she will keep everything neat and clean, and when you get into the house in the evening, you will feel it is actually in heaven. It will never be, you go home, chappals are thrown wherever it wants, there is no food, bottles are lying everywhere, TV is consistently running, and mom is sitting there and she is gossiping with her friends. No, you cannot imagine, you cannot even think in your dreams that will happen. Mom would be working, washing your clothes, keeping your things ready so that my son will come, my daughter will come, and she needs to start studying. That kind of an ambience is being kept. My aunt, she started understanding it may be a very simple problem. Do not take anything carelessly. Never get into a starting trouble. She was supposed to go to the hospital and have a small checkup. It was only a simple checkup just to know what is it. What did she do? She got into starting trouble attitude. What she told, I'll go tomorrow, I'll go tomorrow. We'll do like this. Once my daughter comes to home, afterwards I will go. Daughter came home. Now, after 3 months, I spend some time with daughter. After 3 months, definitely I'll go for a checkup. After 3 months, what she thought, there was a naming ceremony that was supposed to happen. Namkarana agbekitu. So what she will say, I will definitely go after the Namkaran, which is at 9 months. And by the time she was thinking that she wanted to go after 9 months, the small pimple had grown a little more serious. Cancer, from going from stage 1 to stage 4, it will not take years, it will take days. Sometimes it will only take few months. And it so happened the Namkaran was done. On that day, somehow she could not tolerate the pain, and everybody could make out that she is feeling uncomfortable. The kind of clothes what she was wearing, all those reshme, because it was silk saris, it makes a ladies feel very uncomfortable. If there is any scratch in the body also, you can also make out. If you have hurt yourself and there is a scratch and you are wearing something, you will know that you are feeling uncomfortable. Every now and then you do like this. Everybody started suspecting, and our husband, that means my uncle, he seriously told, nothing doing, you tell me what is it. He took her hand, put on to him, and he told, somehow from past 6 months I am feeling something very unnatural about your behavior. Tell me what is it. Then she says there is a small lump, and she had already known it should be cancer. And when she was taken to the hospital, even the doctor is known to be, they are one among our relatives. She shouted on the top of her voice, being a lecturer, being an HOD, how can you be so careless? It is not that she was careless. She also got into the same attitude, starting trouble. What she told, I will go. I am not saying I don't want to go. Who says I don't want to take care of my health? But I will go after 3 months. I will go after 6 months. I will go after 9 months. You can't say, cancer, statue, you be wherever you are until I go. No, it does not happen like that. It went on from stage 1 to stage 2, stage 2 to stage 3, and the doctor told, you are already in stage 4. I don't want to give you blind hopes. You will have to count the number of months. That's all. She very frankly, out of anger, she shouted on my aunt, telling, you only have few months to live. And within few months, my aunt was no more. So I am transferring this message to all of you. There is your mother who might be prone to something like this. There is your father who might be prone to something like this. There might be your grandma who might be prone to something like this. It is your responsibility to take care of them, because your responsibility is already being taken care by them. So the same cancerous thing can happen here also. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. When it was the first test and the message came, you are still at 75, you are aiming at 95, it was very clear that I am not going in the right direction. At least there you should have made an attempt to start studying, but you did not. What did you say? I will do it later. And at least in the midterm exam, if you would have decided, something would have happened and then the 95 would have come, but still you did not start, you waited for the Deepavali to happen. At least on the Deepavali day, if you would have seriously studied, something good would have happened. But even on the Deepavali day, you are telling right now also, I will start seriously studying Maga from January 1st. So what is going to happen? The cancer, the studies is not going to be in stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3 or stage 4. Right now, if you go and talk to your teacher who is a doctor, the teacher will look up to you and say, I think you are already in stage 3. Maximum you should be happy if you get even 75%. Because all the tests, if you have scored 75, 75, 75, for the small portions of exams that is being conducted for a small portion, when there is a larger portion of the exam when it is conducted, definitely your score will come down. So all of you should ask yourself this question, am I in stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3 or stage 4? Answer is with you. You should decide and you should plan right now. If some of you have still not seriously started to study, it is high time you start studying from now. Now, let me give you certain tips of how exactly you will have to study. I have to told lot of things. Now, I'll come. Okay, sir, I really want to study. I don't want to get into starting trouble. I don't want to get into procrastination. I don't want to get into living in the problem. I don't want to get into stress. And I definitely do not want to give up. My 95% should go beyond 95. I don't want to come down. Beautiful. So what should I do? You should have a plan and you should organize things according to the plan. That means there is a time for everything, everything in its time. You should follow the simple rule. There is a time that you will have to get up, come what may. Do not sleep for more than 5 hours. How many fingers all of you have in each hand? It's 5. So you need not sleep more than 5 hours. Between the age of 15 years to 21 years, nobody sleeps for more than 5 years. Yes, from the age of 1 to age of 10, you should sleep for long hours. After the age of 50, as you are reaching the old age, you will have to sleep for more hours. Right now you are in an adulthood, not more than 5 hours is required. There is a time for everything, everything in its time. So you should fix up 5 hours as only my sleeping time. The rest of the hours I am going to give it to studies. Beautiful. So if you can start planning your timetable and take maximum time and give it to studies. If you can take maximum time and give it to studies, so close it. Close it. Did you think I'm not sweating? It is all in the mind. When I don't want to sit, I will start looking for excuses, even while studies also. When I don't want to do, I will look for an excuse. I look for a fan, I look for an AC, I will look for my uncle has come, I look for my grandmother passed away, and I look for my neighbors got married. So what is wrong for you to study? Sir, how can you expect me to study? I'll have to open the window and see what my neighbors will do. And that is what you are doing. There are few of you who are sitting and listening to me. Hats off to all of you. The energy what I am actually getting here is because few of you, without even winking your eye, you are looking consistently and you want to observe as much as possible. Few of you are sitting here just to do nothing. You are feeling thirsty. I should have been feeling thirsty. You're feeling like stretching your hands and legs. I should be feeling like stretching my hands and legs for the age what I am. Why? Because you are living a life of convenience. There is no conviction. Right now I am sitting here. There is a time for everything, everything in its time. Right now I am sitting here. I am giving time to this sir. Let me sit like a board, means like a paper which is going to absorb, like a bald paper which will absorb everything from sir, and that is going to help me. He coming and speaking to me, what is going to help him? Nothing. He has come here for a purpose. Let that purpose be fulfilled. That way when you actually listen, definitely transformation will happen. If you look, I'm feeling actually hot. I'm actually feeling uncomfortable. I'm actually not able to focus. These are excuses, and these excuses will never help you to achieve what you want to achieve. Give up on these excuses because you are still sitting in a comfortable place. You should be thinking how that man in minus degree would be actually guarding us on the what we call the borderline between us and Pakistan, between us and China. Think of the people who are actually guarding us in the Himalayan mountains, because they don't know at what point of time these Chinese, they will actually become cranky and they will start getting into us. And these people are seriously sitting there in that cold, not even thinking, because they know that if they are not going to sit like that, we will be in trouble. Keeping our trouble in as a point of view, they are seriously working. Now you are in a comfort zone. You may feel a little hot or cold, but if I cannot control that, every bit of food that you are eating, it has been actually a byproduct of the sweat of so-called farmer who is not even comfortably given a place of shelter to sit. He has to go in an open ground. There is no AC ground where he is going to plow. The two bullocks will come and he will say, oh, they were AC on Madi, and then the bullocks will go. No, he will be sweating. He will not have actually water to drink. He will not have cloth to wipe his sweat also. And he will be sitting there and he will be consistently focusing, thinking, whatever I grow is helping enough people. Be filled with gratitude, be focused, be with conviction. Otherwise, animals also live their life. In the zoo you go, animals are also living their life. You should also not be a person who is not in the zoo, but an animal who is actually living his life. You should be a human. From yesterday to today, you should have transformed, you should have grown, you should have gained knowledge. If you are not, then from yesterday to today, if you have not learnt anything, that means you have lived an animalistic life. Always remember, if you are born as a human, that is the greatest gift that God has given you, because there are billions and billions of species which are in this so-called Mother Earth who are not human species. If God has picked you and chosen you to become a human, that is the greatest gift. You will have to give a return gift. What is your return gift to God who has given you such a beautiful gift of being born as a human? You should say, oh God, thank you for giving me this human life. I know I could have been born as an insect. I could have born as a fish. I could have been born as a snake. I could have been born as a worm. I could have been born as any such microorganism which is not even visible to my naked eye. But you have chosen me and ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಜನ್ಮ ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀಯ ದೇವರೇ. Thank you very much. I will live my life like you should be proud that you gave me a human life. That legendary life you will have to live and go. Otherwise, what is the difference between you and animals? They also eat, they also sleep, they also excrete, they will also reproduce. You also do the same thing. Your mother and father should not feel like I gave birth to an animal. That is what happened. If you look at the yesterday's newspaper, which animal could even think of taking that so good looking girl, actually telling I'm going to marry, cut her into 35 pieces and throw it out, because there was an animal in every one of us, and there is an animal in every one of us. Can you suppress that animal and kill that animal and bring that angel out of it? Don't bring the devil out of it. Devil will always say excuses. I'm feeling hot. As soon as somebody rings, I'm not distracted. Most of you are distracted. Why? Where is your focus? If that happens when a person is in war, the bullet would have gone. There is no room for distraction. For you, there is no life and death. For him, it is life and death. He would be wearing certain things so that he should not be distracted, and he will be consistently focusing, because he knows if I am going to focus, it will keep crores of so-called my Indians safe. So be filled with gratitude. Never execute any such bad body language which will shift you from your study activity to something else. So there should be a time for everything, and everything in its time. There should be a study time that should be fixed. 5 hours of sleep means you would be giving 8 hours of sleep. If you can remove the 3 hours on a daily basis and give it to studies, what 95%? You will reach 98%. But are you ready to do? No. Most of you want the results without actually working. That is not going to happen. Results will come when you work smartly, when you work rightly. That rightly is, there is a plan. You should have a plan. There is a time for everything, everything in its time. The time you get up, the time you give for studies, the time you spend for actually coming to the college, the time you spend to going back home, the time you spend after going back home on studies, the time you spend on your physical activities, so that only an healthy body can have an healthy mind. All this has to be systematically followed. You cannot become lazy. And what kind of foods are allowed to you? We will come back to that. There is a wake up time that should be fixed. There is a study time that should be fixed. There should be a fitness time, because if you fall sick, gone. You will never be able to focus. You are having 105 degree. You really want to study. Nothing will go inside. Why? Because your mind and body is already weak. When your body becomes weak, your mind also becomes weak. With a weak mind, you cannot do studies. So what we insist, keep an healthy body. To maintain an healthy body, regular exercise is required. To maintain an healthy body, regular, right, healthy food is required. Too much of junk, too much of chocolates, too much of sugary products will actually throw your health into problem, and that problem will affect in your studies. When I was studying, my mom never used to allow me to even fall sick once, because the moment I fall sick, days would be gone because of the sickness. So it is very important you have an healthy body, and only an healthy and an active body can have an healthy and an active mind, and that healthy and active mind can study well. So let there be a discipline there. And one more important discipline is, there is a place for everything, everything in its place. Wherever you are going to study, there should be a fixed place that you will have to keep. for studies, because we call something called as Vastu of life. What is Vastu of life? There is a place for everything, everything in its place. That's the reason this Vastu is not only being followed in India, the same Indian Vastu is being followed all over the world in their own way, and most of them use Indian way also. There is a place for puja, there is a place for sleeping, there is a place for dinner, there is a place for worship, there is a place for playing. In the same manner, fix one common place where you are going to study, because every time you keep changing the studies place, what happens? It actually tells you that you will never be able to focus. If you change the place of sleep also, you will not get good sleep. Then you will say, Mama, ನಾನು ನಿನ್ನೆ ಮಲಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಮಲಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಂಗೆ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಮಮ್ಮ, ನಾಳೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್. ಈವನ್ ಮಮ್ಮ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಲಗಿದ್ದೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಲಗಿರೋ, ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂಕಲ್ ಊರಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಐ ಲವ್ ಇಟ್, ಬಟ್ ಅಂಕಲ್ ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಆಚೆ ಮಲಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಚೇಂಜ್ ದ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್, ಯೋರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಅಕಸ್ಟಮ್ ಟು ದ್ಯಾಟ್. So there is a place discipline, there is a place for everything, everything in its place. Even while you are studying also, the books what you keep, there should be a place for everything, everything in its place. The notes what you prepare, there is a place for everything, everything in its place. You cannot keep two subject books into one book and then write 50% here, 50% there. That will always create enough of mess. Why? Most of your time you will actually be spending in searching for something which is misplaced. ಈ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವ ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೆ, gone. You will be wasting lot of time. So please maintain what is called as a place discipline. There is a place for your studies, play, sleep, and there is a place for your dresses, there is a place for your pillow. Once we enter your room also, the room should look in energy so positive that everybody should feel like coming there and actually studying. It should not look like a fish market. It should not look like a market where everything is scattered. In that scattered place, you will never be able to focus. So please work on that, which is very, very important. And everything should happen according to a plan. So you should also have a timetable. So we saw three things. There is a time for everything, everything in its time. All of you repeat. There is a time for everything, everything in its time. Again, there is a time for everything, everything in its time. There is a place for everything, everything in its place. There is a right way for everything and everything in the right way only. Most of your study will not be happening in the right way. You cannot sleep and study, it does not work. You cannot sit on the floor and study, it does not work. Or you cannot sleep and write, it does not work. You cannot actually sit on a sofa and write, it does not work. You cannot and should not sit on the floor and write, because it does not work. Because in so-called examination, what is the kind of place you will be sitting? You will be sitting on a desk like this. You need not buy an exact desk. Buy a stool and a small table so that it is exactly the same way how you go and write the exam, and you should practice in the same environment. That is what we call it as a right way. You cannot sit in front of TV and then study. You cannot sit in front of kitchen and then study. A lot of the distractions will happen. So fix up a discipline of place. Fix up a discipline of a right way. You will have to sit straight. Your back has to be straight, and then you will have to start studying. Most of the time your studying itself will be in a wrong way. Actually in exam what happens? In exam, whatever is in the mind is being put into paper. But how do you actually study? You will be taking the book, collecting the information from the book, putting it into the memory. It could be notes, it could be textbook. Every time you take information, put it here. Take information, put it here. Take information, put it here. Finally in the exam, you want to take information and put it here. What should be practiced more? It is not taking information and putting it here. What should be practiced more is taking information from here and putting it on the paper, because that is what you do in exam. But religiously you are never following that. And what is more important, taking information and putting it here should be less important. More time has to be spent on taking information from your mind and putting it on a paper. You will never be doing this. Let me explain you what I mean. Assuming I am studying the first lesson. I study the first page, second page, third page. Now after you have studied for 10-15 minutes, close the book and spend 40 minutes in recollecting the information. We call this as 20-20-20 rule. What is this called as? 20-20-20 rule. In 1 hour there are actually 320 minutes. So in that 1 hour if I am studying, the first 20 minutes should be taken to take information and put it here. And the next 20 minutes should be spent to take information from here and put it there. And the next 20 minutes has to be spent in order to check whatever you have studied from the book and whatever you have written, is it the same? So what is happening? You are spending only 1/3 of the time in taking information and putting it here. The rest of the 40 minutes, 20 plus 20 is being spent to actually put it there and check whatever you have put is right or wrong. This checking and whatever you put on the paper is going to help you in the exam. But ask yourself how much of time you are actually doing this. You are doing 0 time this. Most of the time you are taking this and putting it, taking this and putting it. Why? There also starting trouble is coming into problem. First 20 minutes you will study. Why? Malik sir has told, let me study. Next 20 minutes you close the book. You want to prepare notes, whatever you have studied. You want to recollect. When you are trying to recollect, it does not come. Why? For the first time you are making an attempt, you are trying, it does not come. Then what you will think? I'll do like this. Next 20 minutes also I will study. Then at a time everything I will recollect. Then you go to the next lesson, you study. At least after that try to recollect. No. You are trying to recollect, it is not coming. Starting trouble. So what you will say? I'll do like this. Today it is not coming. Tomorrow morning everything will come. So I will study tomorrow morning. And when you come tomorrow morning and when you open the book, you will feel like you have never read the book at all. Why? That revision has not happened. So that has to be practiced. We'll again be speaking about that. So more time has to be spent in taking information and putting it here. So please repeat after me. The smart studies is following 20-20-20 rule.
20-20-20 rule.
First 20 minutes. Information is observed. As studies. Into the mind. The second 20 minutes. Information is collected. From the mind. And written onto the paper. The last 20 minutes of the hour. Should be spent in checking whatever I have written is right or wrong. This is how your entire flow should go. Whatever you have not written wrong, put that as one particular syllabus, and next 1 hour only work on that. Don't work on something which you are able to recollect. Beautiful. Something which you were not able to recollect, that is where you will have to work. So we'll be speaking about all this. I have told you. Now I want to speak about few important things, and then we will go back to. I may not be able to talk about all the slides, but at least few important slides I want to alert you. Very important is, you are very good in studies. There is nobody in this class who will go home and who will not study. That can never happen at all. But all of you will study, but when you go to an exam, most of you are not able to recollect everything. That means all of our problem is, why do we forget? All of you, can you ask me?
Why do we forget?
Is forgetting a gift or a curse? It is a question that we are trying to ask. Now, mariyadu vandu varana vandu shapana. Sometimes mariyadu, it is also a gift, but sometimes it is also a curse. ಯಾವ್ದು ಮರಿಬೇಕೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಮರಿದಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಎ ಶಾಪ. ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ಮರಿಬಾರ್ದು ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಎ ಶಾಪ. ಇನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಅಟ್ ದಟ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಎ ಕರ್ಸ್. At the same time, when your near and dear ones has died, ಅವ್ರ ಮೆಮರಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಅಪ್ಸೆಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದಾಗ ಆ ಮೆಮರಿ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಡಿಮಿನಿಷಿಂಗ್. ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ completely vanish. It should be diminished so that you will start feeling comfortable. Studies ಹಾಗೇನೆ, Assuming, I'll take up a simple example how our memory works. I still remember it was one of my cousin sister. She was very fond of her grandmother. She was so fond of her grandmother. All of us now ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಎವ್ರಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಟು ಮೀಟ್ ಹರ್ ಆರ್ ಮೈ ಮದರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಟು ಮೀಟ್ ಹರ್ ಮದರ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಟೈಮ್ ವಿ ವೇರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಇವರು ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ಸೋ ಫಾಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮದರ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಇಫ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಟು ದ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮದರ್ ಶಿ ವಿಲ್ ನೆವರ್ ಬಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಟಾಲರೇಟ್ ದಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. Grandmother was nearly 80-85, so she passed away. It was an healthy life what she lived, and she was a legend. She lived a legendary life. She died healthily. All of us felt so happy because a life has to be like that. You should live healthily and you will have to die healthily. And we were happy. We had an emotion of grandma is not there, but we were quite comfortable with that feeling. Grandma has lived a legendary life. Now she is not there. But my cousin sister could not take it. That girl who started crying when my grandmother passed away, for months together she did not stop crying. Somehow, whenever I go and meet her, it is like a tap. You need to open the tap for the actually tears to come. In us, it was consistently flowing. Somehow we got so afraid of what will happen if she gets into a depression. It is going to be such a painful experience. So we wanted to consult a doctor. We wanted to consult a counselor. So when we went up to the counselor saw her, and when we explained her behavior, she understood she's already in the deep depression level 4. Now somehow we had to bring her back. Her studies were affecting, her remembrance were affecting. She was always crying. She had become very, very weak. She had become very thin, and her sugar level had dropped, and her sleep level had dropped. And we thought we will lose her also. That is when my aunt, uncle, when they approached one of the greatest counselor, a very famous counselor from one of Apollo Hospital. She told, if you do not take the steps what I ask you to step, you will never be able to get back your daughter. I don't say some of the so-called diseases will actually kill. I am telling you, whatever she is already suffering is enough for her to take her last breath any time in the coming days. So weak she is. And now we did not have any options. We told, you tell us doctor, whatever you tell we'll be ready to do. Then the doctor advised, you will have to shift the house. The house is making her remember her grandmother. When she gets in, she remembers her grandmother at the entrance. When she gets into the hall, she remembers her grandmother. When she wants to drink coffee, she remembers her grandmother preparing coffee. When she wants to go out to the garden, she remembers her grandmother. When it is festival, she's remembering her grandmother. So there is memories in every part of this house, and in every street what she is going to go, it is going to be her grandmother's memory. Take her to a new place where her grandmother's visibility should not be there. Remove all the photos that has the picture or an image of a grandmother, and nobody will even utter grandmother in front of her for whatever reason. That means everything that would actually make her remember had to be removed. Only then she could push that thought process. You cannot forget. Everything that you study, you will not forget. But what happens? You will not be able to remember at that particular point of time completely. That is what is happening. If you really focus, you will get it. But to focus and get it, you just have 3 hours. Most of you ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, when you come out of the examination hall, immediately you will say, hey, now I remember that answer. You can't go, ma'am, answer bardilla, please ma'am. She will say, get lost. Why? There is a time. You will have to remember within that time. So my cousin sister was taken to a new place. They relocated to Bombay, and a flat was taken where there was no memory of the grandmother. A new school was taken, a new set of people, because this new set of people will never talk about her grandmother. They will talk about whatever she is. So slowly, after 1 or 2 years, she completely forgot. It doesn't mean completely forgot. At least she stopped remembering her on a daily basis. every now and then, sometime in once in 15 days, once in a month, or sometimes later on once in 3 months, or sometimes once in a year, she remembered, because out of place, out of mind, out of sight, people tend to forget it. In your studies also, unknowingly you are doing the same thing. What you are doing, you need to remember. In my cousin's example, she need to forget. In yours, you need to remember. That which you need to remember should appear everywhere. That's the reason we say, if you're preparing for something, prepare a chart so that you can see it every now and then. Prepare a note so that you can see it every now and then. Prepare a cue card so that you can see it every now and then. So all this has to be done, only then it works. Now let us understand, why do we forget? Okay, now there is something called as Ebbinger's forgetting curve. Please remember this, because sometime when you get free time, you can Google also. Everybody repeat after me. Ebbinger's forgetting curve.
Forgetting curve.
This has been told in our Vedas also, how our memory works. Even in yoga we tell you. But this has a beautiful chart, so I am trying to explain you something like this. ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಓದ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಒನ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್. After studying the chapter, if you don't do the 20 recollecting, what happens? Once sati oddaga you felt everything you know. Maybe after 2-3 days, if some questions are asked, you may remember a little less. But if you don't do revision, and if you leave off 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, 50 days and 60 days, and if somebody is going to give a test, you will not remember anything. You will ask, "Ee chapter did my ma'am cover it?" Or "Ee chapter nanu odudna" anno one prashne barutte. Why that happened? Because you did not do revision. Revision is very, very important. So what we say, after you study first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, you should not forget it. Every intervals of 10-15 days or 30 days, you should do the first revision, second revision, third revision and fourth revision. When you do, and when you go to the exam, you will score 100 out of 100. But most of you, when you do not do the revision, what happens? There are 3 kinds of memory in our mind. We call it as sensory memory. One more is called as temporary memory, and one more is called as a permanent memory. So from the sensory memory, information will go to temporary memory. From temporary memory, you will have to push the information into permanent memory. How can I push from temporary memory to permanent memory? By doing multiple revisions. Now revision madadale idre, you will forget. Example, if you want to remember, it will not happen. That one you will have to remember. I'll give a simple example. If you do one revision and then you come here, at least you will remember so much. If you do 3-4 revision, you will, if you don't do any revision, you will forget. If you do one revision, at least you will remember so much. If you do 2 revision, you will remember so much. If you do 3 or 4 revision, you will remember so much. So ask yourself, if I need to remember, what should I do? I should do multiple revision. For that, we will understand this beautiful example, how our memory works. I told you, short-term memory is also called as temporary memory. We have sensory memory, we have short-term memory, and we also have long-term memory. Now, ಏನೇ information ಬಂದ್ರು, it comes from the external stimuli. ನಾವು ಓದಿ information ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹಾಕೋಬಹುದು, ನಾವು ಕೇಳಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ನ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹಾಕೊಬಹುದು, ನಾನು ಬರ್ದು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ನ ಫೀಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹಾಕೊಬಹುದು. ಇದನ್ನ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ 3 ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಒಂದು ವಿಜುವಲ್, ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಆಡಿಯೋ, ನಾವು ಕೇಳಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಕೆನೆಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್. ಕೆನೆಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ನಾನು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರ್ದು ಇಫ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಫೀಲ್ ಇಟ್, ಅವಾಗ್ಲೇನೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So we will talk about that. Allag barta whenever information is coming from the external stimuli through the sensory organs, it gets into short term memory. In the short term memory ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಾನು ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಹರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ it will push it to what is called as a long term memory. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಬ್ಲೂ ಆಯ್ತು, ರಿವಿಷನ್, it will push to long term memory. The moment it goes to long term memory, anytime I can recollect for the exam, interview and viva. ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಎಲಾಬ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ರಿಹರ್ಸಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ದಲೇ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿನ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಮಿನಿಶ್. ಸೊ ಎವ್ರಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಯೋರ್ ಸೆನ್ಸರಿ ಮೆಮರಿ, ಕೀಪ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಎಸ್ ಎಲಾಬ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ರಿಹರ್ಸಲ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸತಿ ಎಲಾಬ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ರಿಹರ್ಸಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಮೆಮರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಟು ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಮೆಮರಿ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪರ್ಮನೆಂಟ್ ದೇರ್. ಈಗ 9 2s ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಆಫ್ಟರ್ 10 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ 40 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಯು ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫರ್ಗೆಟ್. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್ ಎ ಎಲಾಬ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ರಿಹರ್ಸಲ್. ಅದೇ 19 8s ಅಂದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೈಂಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸೇ. ವೈ? ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೆವರ್ ಡನ್ ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಅಟ್ ಆಲ್. ಬಟ್ ಅದೇ ಫ್ರಮ್ 1 1s to 11 1s, you would have told it 1 million times. So the rehearsal has put it into long term memory, so you will definitely not forget. This is the skill set that you will have to learn. Now what I was talking about sensory memory ge maximum duration ಮತ್ತೆ withstanding quarter to 2 seconds ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೇನೆ ಕೆಲವರು ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಹೆಸರನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅದು ಪ್ರೊನೌನ್ಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಈಸಿ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದೇ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಮೆಮರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಒಂದು 30 ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನೀಗ ಓದಿದ್ದು 30 ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಟ್ ಅದೇ 30 ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ನಾಟ್. ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಎಲಾಬ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ರಿಹರ್ಸಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಮೆಮರಿ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ನ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ನ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ now. Whenever you are studying, your study place is very important. ನಾನೇನಂದ್ರೆ there is a place for everything and everything in its place ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನೋ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ನೀವು ಓದೋ ಅಂತ ವಾತಾವರಣ ಕಂಫರ್ಟಬಲ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಅವೇ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್, ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಲಿ ಲೈಟೆಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಏರ್ ವೆಂಟಿಲೇಷನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ತುಂಬಾ ಸೆಕೆ ಆದರೆ ಯು ಮೇ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೀಡ್. ತುಂಬಾ ಚಳಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೀಡ್. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕನಾಗಿ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ದ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ತುಂಬಾ ಸೆಕೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಲೈಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಆ ಥರ ಎಕ್ಸಾಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಆ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ so that your studies will happen perfectly. And one more very important slide which I wanted to express was, what is your studying style? ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರದು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಟಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೋರ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಅಂದಾಗ, ಆರ್ ಯು ವಿಜುವಲ್, ಆರ್ ಯು ಆಡಿಟರಿ, ಆರ್ ಯು ಕೆನೆಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್? ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ರು ಪ್ಯಾರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಸಹ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರ ಮಗ ಆಡಿಟ್ರಿನ, ಕೆನೆಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್, ವಿಜುವಲ್ ಅಂತ. ಕೆಲವರು ವಿಜುವಲ್ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ ಬರ್ದು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂದಾಗ ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ನಾಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್. ಕೆಲವರು ಆಡಿಟರಿ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ನೀನು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋ ಅಂದಾಗಲೂ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್. So you should understand your verticals and then you will have to start studying in the same style. Visual ಅಂದಾಗ ಏನು, when I talk about visual, ನಾನು ನೋಡಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದನ್ನ we will call it as visual. ನಾನು ನೋಡಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದನ್ನ we will call it as a visual. ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ I call it as a auditory. And kinesthetic is ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರ್ದು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ it will get inside, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ರು kinesthetic ಇರ್ತೀರಾ, so there is no other option. Do not get into visual or auditory. ನೀವು ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರ್ದು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೇನೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗೋದು. That you should religiously do. So ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ every person has his own unique way of learning. ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ you will be able to give a solution to this. So visual ಅಂದಾಗ ಏನು, ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವ ತರ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, those who are visual, your learning methodology ಹೇಗಿರಬೇಕು, you will see your books, look into the notes and watch the board and study silently. Definitely you should avoid what is called as group discussion. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಡಿಯೋ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತಲೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಂಥವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ವಿಜುವಲ್ನೇ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲೂ ಕೆಲವರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಆ ಟೀಚರ್ ಹೇಳೋದನ್ನ ಅದು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಮನೇಲೂ ಓದಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ 95 ಇಂದ ಎಬೋ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಆಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಆಡಿಟ್ರಿ. ಆಡಿಟ್ರಿ ಅನ್ನೋರು ಏನೋ ಮತ್ತೆ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ನೆವರ್ ಬಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಆಡಿಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಆಡಿಟ್ರಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಓದಬೇಕು, ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂತ ಕಲಿಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ನೀವೇ ಓದಿರೋದನ್ನ ನೀವೇನಾದರೂ ಮೊಬೈಲಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡಿಯೋ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೆಡ್ಫೋನ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಾಗಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮೆಮೊರೈಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಸಹ ಇದನ್ನೇ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ಲಿ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಕೆನೆಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್. ಕೆನೆಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್, ನನಗೆ ವಿಷುವಲ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಬಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಡಿಯೋ ಅಂದಾಗ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಬಟ್ ನಾನು ರೀಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಂಗೆ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಕಲಿತೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋರು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಲರ್ನ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಕೆನೆಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಡಸ್ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್? ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ those who are laborious can't help it, you have to write and practice. Here you should avoid group studies and study without distractions. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಬರೆದು ಕಲಿಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ, those who want to score 95 and above, you cannot give anything to chances. You will have to follow all three methodologies. So what do we say? Of course you should know that those who make it to the top bracket of academic practice, all the three learning methodologies should be practiced. They should read, they should say it, and they also should write and practice. That's why it makes a much of a difference. They don't leave any learning to chances because they want to score 95 and above, 96 and above. Okay, now one more important thing what I wanted to say, after that we will wind up. See, what is the right time for you to study? ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ what exactly is the right time when I will have to study ಅಂದಾಗ, always remember most of the epics and most of the, even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says the most sacred time between the 24 hours day and night is early in the morning. ಅಂದರೆ ಸೂರ್ಯ ಹುಟ್ಟಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ, ಸೂರ್ಯ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ನಂತರ ಆ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ನ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ as ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಮುಹೂರ್ತ ಅಂತ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ as a ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಕ್ರೆಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಕ್ರೆಡ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಲೈಫ್. ನೀವು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಲೈಫ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದೀಸ್ ಡೇಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್. So you should be doing studies there. Instead what you will be doing, most of you will be sleeping. That is one of the bad way of telling God himself, oh Devre, I am not interested in studies, adike nan malgidini. Then he will also not help you. So what you should be doing, at least from tomorrow, before the sun rises and after the sun rises, andre sumar 4 ಗಂಟೆಯಿಂದ 6 ಗಂಟೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ you will have to be actually doing what is called as studies. ಈ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ನ ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ as ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಮುಹೂರ್ತ ಅಂದಾಗ ವಿತ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್. ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್. ಅದೇ ಬೇರೆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಕಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಇದು ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅಟ್ ಒನ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್, ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಓದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಯು ಕಮ್ ಅರ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್, ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ಅಪ್ ಅರ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಸ್ಟಡಿ, ಪಟ್ ಅಂತ ಸಿಕ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ವೈ? ದಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ ಸೇಕ್ರೆಡ್ ದಟ್ ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್. So all of you should make use of this opportunity to get up early in the morning and then study. But right now ನೀವೇನಾದರೂ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಇಯರ್ಗೆ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಯು, ನನಗೆ ಲೇಟ್ ನೈಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಓದೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಹೊತ್ತು ಏನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಓದೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬಂದುಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋರು ಈಗ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡೂ ನಾಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ನೌ, ಬಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಇಯರ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ. ಸೊ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ, ನೀವು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಈಗಿರೋ ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ whatever the environment and whatever the days you have spent from the time your academic year started, ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಪೀಕ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಪೀಕ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಈ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿದಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನಾನ್ ಪೀಕ್ ಆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ನಾನು ಈ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿದಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಯು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ದಟ್ ಪೀಕ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಓದೋ ಥರ, ನಾನ್ ಪೀಕ್ ಆಸಲ್ಲಿ ಈಸಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಓದೋ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ರೂಟೀನ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ automatically you will start getting maximum benefit. But for the next academic year there is no replacement. Early in the morning yaar eddu odtaro, they are the most successful people in this planet. Any successful people na togolli, a chai wala who became a prime minister, or a paper boy who became a president like Abraham Lincoln, or a teacher who came in an exchange program who becomes Mother Teresa, or a tribal woman Draupadi Murmu becoming the president. You take up any such examples, all these people have one common thing: they get up very early in the morning and they start their day. ನೀವು ಸಹ early in the morning ಎದ್ದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ದಿನನ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ your days will be very very happy, and I wish you all the best for your future. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ನ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್, and please keep studying. Thank you, love you all so much, wishing you most and more. Have a happy day. I wish you and your teachers a great luck. Big round of applause.